Hello friends, today we will discuss about the taxation of agricultural income in India. Before we discuss, let us know some provisions relating to agricultural income in India. First of all, agricultural income is totally exempted from tax under section 10 subsection 1. That means any income from agriculture is not to be included in the total income of an SSC, because the central government has no power to levy tax on agricultural income. However, it is left to the state government that they can levy tax on agriculture if they think it is fit to do so. So, with effect from the assessment year 1974-75, there is a scheme of integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income, because but with certain conditions. If certain conditions are satisfied, then there will be integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income in some specific cases, not in all cases. Again, I am repeating, even if it is integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income, it is only for the purpose of taxation or only purpose of computation of tax, but agricultural income is exempted whether it is satisfying some conditions or not. Only thing is, tax computation purpose, for tax computation purpose integration provisions are there, which is applicable from assessment year 1974 and 75 onwards. Now see, what is agriculture income? As per section 2 subsection 1a, agricultural income includes three things. So the following three ways are agricultural income means. So number one is rent or revenue derived from land situated in India and used for agricultural purpose. So here we got three important things. First thing is, there should be rent or revenue derived from the land, and that land should be situated in India. Further, the land should be used for agricultural purpose. Then only we can consider it as agricultural income. Number two, income derived from the land may be by way of agricultural operations. The income should be derived by way of agricultural operations, and or the performance of a process ordinarily employed by a cultivator or receiver of rent in kind to render the produce fit to taken to the market. That means the income must derive from the performance of a ordinary process that is being employed by a cultivator in its land for cultivation or for production. Similarly, if he is receiving rent or rent in kind, then the rent should be received for the activities which is rendering produce or making the produce fit to be taken to the market. Or the income may be derived by sale of such agricultural produce which is being produced from the land in the market. Then that means from these three different activities, if income is being derived, that will be considered as an agricultural income. And number three is, income may be derived from any farmhouse or farm building which is used for agricultural operations. So these three incomes will be considered as agricultural income. Let us understand these three different operations separately. Now you see, number one, rent, revenue derived from land situated in India used for agricultural purpose. As I have told you, rent should be derived. If you sold the revenue, if you sold the land and got some revenue, then it is not revenue, it is not agricultural income, it is a capital gain. Similarly, land should be situated in India. If the land is situated outside India, in a foreign country, then the entire income will be taxable depending upon the residential status of the SSC. Similarly, land should be used for agricultural purpose And what is agriculture? Anything which is being used for the purpose of agriculture, farming, and so on. Similarly, when I say agriculture, the term agriculture is not at all defined in any in your Income Tax Act, but it includes cultivation of a field involving human skill and labor on the land. Agriculture means tilling of land, sowing of seeds, and similar operations. So, even though agriculture word is not defined in the act, but as a general meaning, agriculture includes these things. But whatever things will cover under agriculture, that can be grouped under two different operations. One is basic operations, another one is subsequent operations. Now, what is the basic operation? These are the operations which the agriculturalist does, which are absolutely necessary for the purpose of effective raising of produce from the land. This is very essential. You have to understand it, which are absolutely necessary. The things or activities which are absolutely necessary to be performed by the agriculturalist to get the produce from the land. On the other hand, subsequent operations means the operations to be performed after the produce is sprout from the land, that is after weeding or digging out. That subsequent operations are being done to make the agricultural produce to fit for its market use, or in these subsequent operations should be agricultural operations only when they are taken in conjunction with and as a continuation of the basic process. So, these are the two operations which will be considered as your agricultural activities. Now, you see, agricultural or agriculture cannot be extended to all the activities which have some distant relationship to the land, like dairy farming, breeding, rearing of livestock, butter and cheese making, poultry farming. All these are not coming under agricultural activities. But on the other hand, income derived from sapling or seeding grown in a nursery would be deemed to be agricultural income, whether or not the basic operations were carried out on land or not. Now, second important characteristics of your agricultural income is income must derive from such land by process ordinarily employed or to render the produce fit to be taken to the market. To make the agricultural produce a sellable commodity, it is necessary to perform some kind of process, and that same process, if you employed that process, that is also considered as agricultural activities. The income from the process employed to render the produce fit to be taken to the market would also be considered as agricultural income. The process must be, the important thing is, ordinarily employed by the cultivator or the receiver of rent in kind, and the process must be applied to make the produce fit to taken to the market. The ordinary process includes threshing, winning, cleaning, drying, crushing, and so on. Let me give an example. Suppose a farmer is producing potato from the land, then the producing potato or all activities relating to production of potato from the land will be considered as your agricultural activities. After the potatoes are being brought out from the soil, still it requires some cleaning so that it can be consumed or it can be marketed. So that activities is also considered as ordinary activities which are required to make the produce fit to the market. Third one is your sale of such agricultural produce in the market. Any income from the sale of any produce to the cultivator or receiver of rent in kind is agricultural income, provided it is a form of land situated in India and used for agricultural purpose. If the produce is subject to any process other than the process ordinarily employed to make the produce fit for the market, then the income arising on sale of such produce would be partly agricultural income and partly non-agricultural income. Let me give an example. In my previous example, the potato production, the farmer who is producing potato from the land, then after it make some cleaning activities, and now it is fit to sell. So up to this stage, whatever activities is being carried on and whatever income will arise, that will be considered here as your ordinary activities make the produce fit to the market, and whatever income will come, that will be considered as a agricultural income. But suppose the same farmer will store the potato, store the produce in a cold storehouse, or make some extra packaging so that it will be more attractive in the market, then whatever income will derive from the sale of such produce, it will be separately, it will be distinguished between the agricultural income and non-agricultural income. The non-agricultural income will be the income which will derive over and above the market value of the such extra activities being done, like packaging, etc. Next important is income from farm building or farmhouse. Now, income from farm building which is owned and occupied by the receiver of rent or revenue of such land, or occupied by the cultivator or the receiver of rent in kind, or any land with respect to which or the produce of which is carried on would be agricultural income. However, the income arising from the use of such farm building of any purpose, including letting of residential purpose, for the purpose of building, for the purpose of business and profession other than the agriculture, would not be agricultural income. Let me give a holistic idea about the income which are coming from the farm building which is used for agricultural purpose, which is used to store the agricultural goods, will be considered as your agricultural income. However, if the same farm building is being used for other purpose, then any income derived from such farm building will not be considered as your agricultural income. Now, you see what are the conditions to be satisfied so that the income from farm building will be considered as agricultural income. The income from farm building would be agricultural income only if, remember, only if the following conditions are satisfied. The building should be on or in the immediate vicinity of the land. The buildings should be situated on the agricultural land or just adjacent to the agricultural land. And number 2, the receiver of the rent or revenue, or the cultivator or the receiver of rent in kind, should, by the reason of his connection with such land, acquires it as a dwelling house or as a storehouse. Now, the receiver in kind can use it as a dwelling house also or a storehouse because of the positioning of the farmhouse adjacent to the land. Now, even these two conditions are satisfied, then it will be considered as any income derived from such building used for agricultural purpose, storing agricultural produce, then it will be considered as your agricultural income. Now, in addition to the above conditions, any one of the following two conditions should also be satisfied. The land should either be assessed to the land revenue in India or be subject to the local rate assessed or collected by the officers of the government. Land revenue, that land should be within the control or within the jurisdictions of the land revenue of government of India. Where, if not, then where the land is not so assessed to the land revenue in India or is not subject to the local rate, then it should not be situated in the area as comprised of the jurisdictions of the municipality or cantonment board, or which has a population less than 10,000. It should not be situated in that place, or it should not be situated in an area in such distance measured aerially in relation to the range of population. You see, if it is not coming under land revenue of India, then it should not also situated within the range of area given in the next slide. You see, that land should not situated within the 2 kilometers if the population of the area is more than 10,000, less than 1 lakh. Similarly, if the population goes on increasing of the area, then accordingly the land should not situated within the periphery of the municipality locations. Now you see, Now it is clear that which one will be considered as agricultural income, which one will be considered as not agricultural income. Now there are some specific rules, not act, not section. There are specific rule like rule 7, 7a, 7b and 8 which are given for specific business, where these business are in such a nature it is of always in mix of agricultural income and non-agricultural income, like tea, rubber and coffee. Now in that case, income tax rule have given a specific guideline how much to be considered as agricultural income, how much to be considered as your non-agricultural income or business income. Now you see rule 7a is relating to your income from growing and manufacturing of rubber. In that case, whatever income will arrive out of the total income, 65% will be considered as agricultural income, 35% will be considered as business income. Similarly, rule B, income from growing and manufacturing of coffee, and income is derived from sale of coffee ground and curd, then 75% will be considered as agriculture and the rest will be considered as your business income. But if the same coffee is ground, curd, roasted and grounded, then it will be agricultural income will be 60% of the total income and 40% will be your non-agricultural income. Similarly, rule 8 is income from growing and manufacturing of tea, that is 60% is your agricultural income, 40% is your business income. Now you see these are the specific guidelines where if the income is from tea, rubber and coffee business, then accordingly we have to decide how much will be agricultural income, how much will be non-agricultural income or business income. But what about that rule 7? Rule 7 is those rule 7 is applicable to those activities or income which are of agriculture in nature partly, but it is not covering under tea, rubber and coffee. Then in that case, how much will be considered as agricultural income or how much will be considered as business income or non-agricultural income, that rule is given in rule 7. Now you see rule 7, income from growing and manufacturing of any other product which is of agriculture in nature, like your sugar cane. So where the income is partly agricultural income and partly business income or non-agricultural income, the following two deductions are applicable. Now we can deduct these two value from the total revenue, then accordingly we can calculate the agriculture income. Now what are the two deductions applicable? Number one, the market value of any agricultural produce which has been raised by the assessee or received by him as a rent in kind, and the market value of any agricultural produce which has been utilized as a raw material in such business or the sales proceeds of which are included in the accounts of the business. So we can deduct these two, the balance will be your business income. Now no further deduction shall be made in respect of any expenditure incurred by the assessee as a cultivator or a receiver of rent in kind. Now you see income from growing and manufacturing any product, when we deduct this market value, there may be two possible cases where what is the value of market value of the produce to be deducted. Now situation number one, the agricultural produce is capable of being sold in the market either in its raw stage or after application of any ordinary process to make it fit to the taken to the market. If this is the case, then the value calculated at the average price at which it has been sold during the relevant previous year will be taken as market value. This average price concept will be considered in case the produce can be sold in the market after ordinary process. But in second situation, if the agricultural produce is not capable of being ordinarily sold in the market in its raw form or after application of ordinary process, if it is not possible or feasible to sell it without further process, then how much will be deducted? The total of the following will be deducted: the expenses of cultivations, the land revenue or rent paid for area in which it was grown, and such amount as the assessing officer finds having regard to the circumstances in each case to represent a reasonable profit. So these three important value can be allowed as deductions. Now let me give an example so that it will be more clear for application of rule 7. Now you see, this is an example. Raghunath grows sugarcane and uses the same for the purpose of manufacturing sugar in his factory. Now 30% of the sugarcane produced is sold for 10 lakh, and the cost of the cultivation of such sugarcane, the 30% is 5 lakh. Then the cost of the cultivation of the balance 70% is 14 lakh, and the market value is 22 lakh. After incurring 1.5 lakh manufacturing process expenses, the sugar was sold for 25 lakhs. Now you are required to compute Raghunath's business income and agricultural income. So this is a clear case of rule 7 because it is neither coffee, rubber or tea. Now we have how to apply this rule 7. You see, now what is the total sales proceed of sugarcane? That is sugar, 25 lakhs. The market value is deductible, 70% is your 22 lakh, and expenses is 1 lakh 50. So net business income is 1 lakh 50. As per rule 7, these two things are deductible. Now coming to agricultural income, the 70% value of the sugar is 22 lakh, of which cost of cultivation is 14 lakh. So 8 lakh is our agricultural income. Similarly, there are 30% sugarcane is sold for 10 lakh. The cost of cultivation is 5 lakh. So 5 lakh is again agricultural income. So total agricultural income is 13 lakh and total business income is 1 lakh 50. So now this is the application of rule 7 in case of non-specified business not covering under tea, coffee or rubber. Now you see another example where Mr. Chandu manufactured latex from the rubber plants grown by him in India. These are then sold in the market for 30 lakhs. The cost of growing rubber plant is 10 lakh. That of the manufacturing latex is 8 lakh. So latex is the product, this is the raw material which is used to produce the rubber. The compute is taxable income. Now it is coming under rubber. Rule 7 will be applicable. Now you see the solution. Total income, how to compute total income? Let us first compute total income. Total sales proceed is 30 lakh. Then out of 30 lakh we will deduct the cost of growing rubber is 10 lakh. Then manufacturing latex is 8 lakh. So now total profit is 12 lakh. And as we know, agriculture income is 65% of the total profit. So 65% of the total profit, 12 lakh is 7 lakh 80,000, which is agriculture income. The balance 4 lakh 20,000 is our business income. So this is as per rule 7a. Similarly, we can apply 7b and rule 8 also. Now assessment of agricultural income. Now once you understand the agricultural income, how to compute agricultural income, now how this agricultural income is being assessed to tax in India. There is a method of integration or partial integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income, provided two conditions must be satisfied. Condition number 1, that net agricultural income should be or exceeds 5,000 per annum, and condition number 2, the non-agricultural income should exceeds the maximum amount not chargeable to tax. So in case of individual, as you know, in case of individual 2,50,000 is the exemption limit. The non-agricultural income should exceeds the 2,50,000 in case of individual. If it is a senior citizen, it is 3 lakh, and if it is a super senior citizen, it is 5 lakh. If these two conditions are satisfied, then there will be a partial integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income. But remember, this partial integration of agricultural income is applicable to individual, HUF, AOP, BOIs and artificial judicial persons. Again, I am repeating, two conditions must be satisfied. Net agricultural income should be more than 5,000 in a year during the previous year, and net non-agricultural income should exceed the maximum amount that is not chargeable to tax. That means basic exemption limit. If these two conditions are satisfied, then there will be partial integration of non-agricultural income agriculture income with non-agriculture income only for tax computation purpose. However, agriculture income is exempted. Again, I am repeating the same thing again and again. You have to keep in your mind. Now, what are the steps for this partial integration? There are 5 steps. You need to remember it. 6 steps. There are 6 steps. Last step we can also consider as a step. Step 1, you have to add the agriculture income with net non-agriculture income with net agriculture income. You have to add these two, non-agriculture income, agriculture income. First you add these two. In second step, you compute the tax on this aggregate amount. Whatever aggregate amount you will arrive in step 1, you apply the tax rate applicable to that particular assessment year, then you compute the tax on that aggregate amount. In step 3, add the net agriculture income with the maximum exemption limit as the case may be. If he is a senior citizen, it is 3 lakh. If it is super senior citizen, it is 5 lakh. If it is a ordinary individual, then it is only 2 lakh 50. So you add 2 lakh 50 plus agricultural income, what is in the particular case. Then next, 4th step. In step 4, you have to compute tax on this amount. Which amount? In step 3 amount. Whatever step 3 amount will derived, you compute a tax again by applying the tax rate. On step 3, compute the tax amount. Then in step 5, you deduct step 2 minus step 4. It is written as step 4 minus step 2. No, it is step 2 minus step 4. You have to deduct step 4 from step 2. Whatever tax amount you have derived in step 2, out of that amount you deduct the tax amount you derived at step 4. So you have to deduct step 2 minus step 4, not step 4 minus step 2. You have to deduct the tax amount calculated in step 2. Out of that amount you have to deduct the tax amount you have calculated in step 4. Then next step is some 5th step. If some surcharge is applicable, then you add it. If some rebates are applicable, you deduct it. Then finally in step 6, you add the health and education cess at the rate 4%. This is the process of partial integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income in case of specified SSE. Now you see, let us take an example in a practical case study so that we can do it. You see here I have given you 3 case study of which we will solve one case study here. The rest 2 are for your own practice. I have given you the answer also. You have to simply apply it and get it and answers, and can be checked by yourself that if you got this answer, then it is okay. You have understand the concept. Now you see the case study 3. Mr. India is a resident, has provided you the following particulars of his income for the previous year 1920. Now income from salary computed, given 2,80,000. Income from house property computed, given 2,50,000. Agricultural income from land in Jaipur, 4,80,000. Expenses incurred in earning agricultural income, 1,70,000. Now you have to compute the tax liability, assuming his age 45 years and assuming his age 70 years. So there is 2 cases, 45 years and 70 years is senior citizen cases. Let us see how we have to do it. First is 45 years age. In that case, we have to first compute what is the taxable income. Salary income given 2,80,000, house property income given 2,50,000, and net agricultural income how to compute? 4,40,000 minus expenses 1,70,000, 3,10,000. As I have told you repeatedly that agricultural income is exempted, nothing shall be taxable, so exempted 3,10,000. So total taxable income is 5,30,000. You see the income, taxable income will 5,30,000. There will be no change even if it is integration is there. Now when you calculate the tax liability, then there is need for integration. Now in this case his non-agricultural income is 5,30,000, which is above the exemption limit 2,50,000, and his agricultural income, net agricultural income is also more than 5,000. So in his case partial integration has to be done. So step 1 is you have to add the agricultural income and non-agricultural income. So non-agricultural income is 5,30,000, agricultural income 3,10,000, so total 8,40,000. Now when I apply the tax rate on 8,40,000 of the current year tax rate, then the tax comes to 80,500. So how this 80,500 comes? From 0 income to 2,50,000 tax is nil. From 2,50,000 to 5 lakh tax rate is 5%, that is 12,500, and the remaining 5 lakh to up to 10 lakh, that means 5 lakh to 8,40,000, it is 20%. So it comes 80,500. Then in step 3 we have to add total agriculture income, net agriculture income plus exempted limit. So net agriculture income is your 3,10,000, exempted limit is 2,50,000, so 5,60,000. In step 4 we have to apply the same tax rate and compute the tax liability again. So it is coming to 24,500. In step 5 you have to deduct step 4 and step 4 minus step 2, 80,500 minus 24,500, so it is 56,000. Now in his case no surcharge is applicable, so here we have to add only cess. So 56,000 plus 4% cess on 56,000, that is total coming to 58,240. So this is how the tax liability will be 58,240 if his age is 45 years. But income, remember again I am repeating, the total income will remain same 5,30,000, but the tax will be 58,240 rupees because of this integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income. Similarly, the answer will change if the age is 70 years. Income will remain same. Now the tax computation will change. Step 1 we have to add these two, 5,30,000 and 3,10,000, same 8,40,000. Now if you apply the tax rate on 8,40,000, the tax amount here will come 78,000 because he is a senior citizen. That means from 0 to 3 lakh tax is nil. From 3 lakh to 5 lakh tax rate is 5%. Then 5 lakh to 8,40,000 tax rate is 20%. So total tax comes to 78,000. The step 3, exempted income plus agriculture income. Agriculture income is 3,10,000, exempted income is 3 lakh. So this income is 6,10,000. So now if we apply this tax rate on 6,10,000 rupees, the tax will be 32,000. Now you have to deduct step 2 from step 4. So 78,000 minus 32,000, that is 46,000. So in this case also surcharge is not applicable. Now in step 6 we have to add cess 4% on 46,000, then the total tax liability comes to 47,840. So this is all about how you can apply the integration of agriculture income with non-agriculture income for taxation point of view. However, the total income will remain same because the agriculture income is exempted from tax, whether it is 1 rupee or 1 crore rupees, but tax amount will increase if the conditions are being satisfied. Now accordingly you can practice the other two case study, and I have also given you the answer. So thank you. So for more details or for other chapters relating to income tax, you can visit my YouTube channel where almost everything are available in different small classes. Thank you. Stay at home, stay safe.